everyone. I hope you had a good lunch. Our next session is on costing, taken by CA Abhishek. I now request the chairman of SICASA, CA Srinivas sir, to escort CA Abhishek sir onto the dais and welcome sir with a bouquet. CA Abhishek Nagaraj is a qualified chartered accountant in 2018, securing All India second rank in CA final as well as All India 42nd rank in CA IPCC in the year 2015, with the second highest mark in costing and FM paper. He is a BCom graduate from Indira Gandhi National Open University and finished his PU in Christ College. He was the technical head of student welfare office at Christ Junior College, managing a team of 15 volunteers conducting inter and intra-collegiate fest. He also excelled in several other academics as well as co-curricular activities throughout his student life. His interests are reading, current affairs, investing and trading, sports and training and conducting fests. He is a smart working and driven chartered accountant with an interest in working in changing environment that will lead to overall development of himself and the people around him. Please welcome CA Abhishek Nagaraj sir with a big round of applause.
Morning. So half of you are asleep, the rest are confused. Good morning. It's good afternoon. It's afternoon. So you guys had a good lunch? No? That's exactly what I wanted. Thank God. Otherwise you would sleep. So good that you did not have good lunch. So I see a lot of people over there. Can you come in front? There's a lot of space here. Guys, make it quick. We're already running short of time. Okay, people behind, there is a lot of place here. Okay, fine. If you want to sit there, it's fine. First of all, I'm very happy that the turnout is so good. You guys are coming here to listen to all of us trying to give you advice on how to study smart. Before that, can I ask everybody to just loosen up? Can you guys just stand up? Just clap. Just clap. Okay, sit down. So this was just to energize you guys so that the next 1 hour that I have planned for you guys is not boring. I hope it is not boring. I will divide the entire session into 5 different parts. First I will tell you just how to prepare for the CA exam. Nothing to do with costing, just how to prepare for the CA exam. And then how to prepare for practical subjects, considering costing is a practical subject. And then I will try to link these two, and then I will come to costing, how to prepare especially for costing. In that, I hope you guys have gone through the material that you need to go through, right? You know the contents at least, you know the chapters at least, right? And then I will discuss the book, like I will give you general tips about how to prepare for costing, and then I will also discuss the contents of the book and what each chapter might have to offer, like there might be something unique that you'll have to consider in that one particular chapter. And then I will discuss the question paper of May 18. Just go through it, not discuss as such, just to tell you, okay, this might be important, this might not be important. And then I will just give you generally about how to make notes, what you should concentrate on, and the mindset, the softer aspects of preparing for final or IPCC or CPD. And then I'll just leave it open for questions, whatever questions you guys have. Please ensure that you discuss it here so that it benefits the entire crowd. If you have a question, it's better you just openly just discuss it so that there might be people who have a similar question but cannot come and ask me. So instead of doing it separately, let's do it on an open forum. So this will be the next 1 hour. So gear up for it. First segment is how to prepare. How to prepare for CA final or CA IPCC or CPT. So can I just have a show of hands CA final? In this, I assume most of them are old syllabus or new syllabus? Both? Mix? Okay. IPCC? Lot of them are IPCC. Okay. And old syllabus or new syllabus? Mostly new. New syllabus?
Both.
Okay, both. Foundation or CPT? Okay. Great. So, how to prepare for CA exams as such? Am I audible then? How to prepare for CA exams is first and foremost thing, you would have heard this so many times, is have a conceptual clarity. If you try to mug up like how you would probably mug up and use to write in your other papers or other examinations, it does not work. Especially with the new curriculum, the new subjects, the way the questions are being asked these days is always more on the practical side, more on the conceptual side, even in case of theory exams. Even a theoretical paper is more becoming a case study based paper. So that shows that you need to have conceptual clarity. Without a conceptual clarity, what happens is you would know a question, you would have read it from the practice manual, you know the answer for it. But then if the question is twisted a little bit, you will not be able to answer. So first and foremost, have conceptual clarity. Second, try to build your analytical skills. It's not that everybody has analytical skills or somebody does not have analytical skills. But the moment you have analytical skills is when you will be able to tackle the exam easily. What I'm trying to say, so I'll tell you one example. So I met this CA second ranker yesterday, CA IPCC second ranker yesterday. He's a mechanical engineer and he's from direct entry. Imagine this. Why did he get that second rank? And then I analyzed how is it so easy for him to get a second rank studying? He said he studied only 3.5 months. He did not know debit credit 4 months before the exam. And he got second rank, IPCC. Why? Because he's an engineer, he has analytical skills. And that makes it so much easier for all the practical subjects for him to handle. Accounts, he has to learn debit credit. But again, when he's learning debit credit, he's so analytical in his working because engineers are basically analytical guys. So what he did, he just had to get the basics of double entry and his balance sheets would always tally. He was like, I know where that effect is going to go here. So I don't need to bother. But what we do is, this effect here, this effect here. He connected. We just mug up. And that is the difference. That is where the analytical skills come into picture. That's where you need to realize that if I say something here, the effect is going to go there and that should be your working. That's how you should start preparing. Saying if you study one chapter today, 5 days down the line, you may have another chapter which has linking to this chapter. And that connection is what is really required. And that kind of analytical skills is not, you're not born with it. Everybody develops it. And how do you develop it? With more practice. Keep your brains open on all the time when you're listening, when you're in classrooms, when you're studying, so that you never know which idea will flash into your head that chapter 5 and chapter 1 has some linkage. Every chapter has a link. Trust me, every single chapter that you study from day 1 is always linked to another chapter somewhere else. So keep your mind really open, really alert. Third, the mindset. I will come to the mindset bit later when in the last segment, but before that, the mindset of saying CA is hard is to be discarded. CA is no more a come again course. It is not come again, it's just first time you write it, you finish it. Did you guys any time think in 10th or 12th that there is another attempt? Do you guys think that in a CA? Yes. You're like, okay, 6 months, right? It's fine. I will lose that 6 months. That's all. What am I going to lose? Only 6 months. That did not happen in 10th and 12th. Why is it happening now? Because your friends say, "Arey, it's okay. 6 months only. Just write another exam, you'll clear." Everybody does this. Everybody takes 2 attempts, 3 attempts, 4 attempts. Do not think about the attempts. Think this is the only first and the final attempt. This is the only attempt, because I will tell you, keep this in mind. Everybody who's writing for the first time and not for the first attempt is always your best attempt. And the first attempt can be an attempt which is your third attempt. I will tell you why. The first attempt you might not have prepared properly, so forget that attempt. It was not an attempt at all. It was just a strike of luck. Nothing beyond that. Second attempt you might have prepared well, and that should be your first attempt. That should be your brain. That should how you should think. So like there are a lot of MBA students that I meet who say I'm writing CAT in December or November. I'm like, dude, 2 months, how will you prepare? But then they say, no, this is not my attempt. I don't worry about this. Next is my attempt. This is just trying my luck. Let's see how it goes. Let me get that experience. That shouldn't happen in CA, guys, because you invest a lot of time. It's not 2 months that you only study for. You would have invested at least 8 months for IPCC and 3 years for CA final. Time is of essence. Everybody would say 6 months is okay, but 6 months is not okay. Not only from the cost perspective, but also the opportunities that you get. And also in your resume, it says first attempt, second attempt, third attempt. And that is going to cost you guys. So don't think of attempts. Just think, I have to clear now and this is the only attempt. And that will definitely motivate you guys to study well. Coming to the practical subjects, how to deal with practical subjects. Like I was talking about conceptual clarity and analytical skills. These are the two most paramount things that you will have to know. Conceptual clarity is as much required in practical subjects as you would have ever thought of, because the moment you have practical clarity is when you can tell the institute, you know what, give me any paper, I will solve it. Because you know the concept. Beyond that, what can be asked? They can't ask you a new concept. If you know all concepts, how will you not handle any concept? Think about this. If at all you know that one particular concept or all the concepts in the book, is there any question that you can't handle? Simple. So understand the concepts. But if you try to understand only the question or only the chapter just to pass, just to clear the exam, it will not happen. Because CA Institute will definitely give you a different question which you would never have seen. And there is no way in the world that you will solve all the questions that is there or all the questions that can come. The only way you can handle this by understanding the complete concept, not mucking up the concept. There are a lot of people who say, I studied conceptually. But then what do you know about the concept? They tell this. And then you ask them to connect it with some other chapter, they can't. Why? Because they don't know how to link the chapters. They don't know how to link the subjects. And that is where analytical skills come into picture. So for example, accounts. You will want to know the basics of it. The most basic of it is what is going to help you in the larger scheme of things. So a lot of finance students would be like, okay, I know debit credit, why should I care? I know this, why should I care? But if you really see the final syllabus, almost half of it is IPCC syllabus. The only difference is it's a little bit in depth. IPCC, you learn the basics. Final, all you're learning is a level higher than that. That is exactly what the book or the institute materials also say. IPCC, working level knowledge. Come to final, expert level knowledge. And that is the difference between final and IPCC. That is almost the only difference. In costing, I will tell it to you guys, I have both the books with me. I will show you that this chapter is nothing but this chapter in final. But the only thing is, it has more practical oriented questions, more analytical based questions, and more skill. The weightage is more on skill rather than remembering. So that is where how you have to prepare for practical subjects. Two things, concepts, second thing, analytical skills. And you have to develop it. And then there are other subjects where you will have to have knowledge of the subject. Like for example, SFM. Like it deals a lot of how practically things work in the stock market or in the actual market. So those are a different kind of subjects. But then when you come to costing as a particular subject, how would you go about it? Everybody thinks, okay, it's like numericals, it's just math, right? Everybody thinks it's math. It's not math. So what do you guys think what costing is? Anybody just stand up and answer. Let's make this interactive. Anybody? You, the third person. Yeah. What do you think costing is?
It tells about the cost the company.
True, but what is the concept behind costing? What is the basic behind costing? Addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. Anything beyond this you think is costing? Is it something different that you do in costing? At least I am talking in terms of old syllabus. I will come to the CA final new syllabus later. What do you think you do in costing? What are the papers like? What do you see in the paper? Only numbers. Is there anything else?
See, one thing is what is the sacrifice or the price that we are paying to get something.
So how do you calculate the price?
One concept is the opportunity cost. That is not there in any other form of costing.
Okay, great. Good answer.
Second one is the alternative that we choose.
Okay, how does that happen? By checking the numbers, right?
Yeah.
A is greater than B, I choose A or I choose B.
Yeah.
Simple. So it's again coming back to math. Calculate the number and then come to the analytical method. Anything else? Any other answers? See, costing is a subject which is only math as such. The basic of costing is math. All you have to do is addition, subtraction, division, multiplication. Is there some trigonometry? Is there some permutation combination that's happening? No. Simple basic math which you would have done from day one of your studies. From first standard you would have been doing addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. But of course it is not math because it's CA. It's costing CA. So what you do in costing is you analyze, you want to come up with a decision. So the end result is a decision. How you come up with the decision is what you calculate. And this is the portion where you get marks, and that is like probably you will get 1 mark for the decision, but then to come up to the decision is what you calculate, and that is just calculation. Check a cost sheet. You have to learn what is there in a cost sheet. Correct? You have to learn, okay, production cost, cost of goods sold, how to calculate it. But then, what do you do in calculating the costing? Addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. Simple. It's as simple as this. Only thing is you have to think that it's simple. The moment you think, oh, it's a cost sheet, I will not learn it, it's gone. You will never learn it. If you think, it's fine, it's just particulars here, amounts here. And in the amounts I have to just say this. And I have to use a calculator. You don't even have to use your brain to calculate this. So it's that simpler to just calculate. All you have to do is calculate. But then I know the question that is in your head, how do I know what I have to put where? And that is where the challenge lies. And that is where you have to learn the practical aspect of costing. That is, you have to learn what is actually material, what is actually labor, what is actually overheads, and how do you divide that overheads. That is exactly what is there in IPCC. The most basics of IPCC is this: labor, material, overheads, right? Material, you will know this much material for this much, labor, this much material for this much, whatever. Overhead is where everybody finds it tough. Am I right? Overhead is allocation or ratios. How will I do it? There are 4 different cost centers. I have to divide it among them, and that is where the challenge comes. Is what you would think. But then, have you not done fractions? What is ratios? Fractions. All you have to do is just take that amount and divide among the cost centers. Your overheads chapter is done. But you would think, how? So there is this direct cost center, and then there is another cost center which is allocated, and then this gets allocated. That is the level of complication that CA gives you, and that you have to take it up. You are no more in 10th. You are no more in 8th. You will have to learn these things. You will have to learn the complicated bit, and that is exactly what you learn, and that is exactly what happens practically also. And that is where your practical knowledge of how a business works, how things work, matter. Most of you are doing articleship? Yes. How many of you are not doing articleship? Not doing. Okay. The moment you enter articleship, you will only see audit, you will only see tax or whatever that you do. But then it's very hard to see actual costing. For you to learn costing in articleship is very hard. But then I'll give you an example. There is this concept of Any of you from Big Four here? Okay. So there is this concept of chargeability. You know, your chargeability is this much. Your number of hours into the rate per hour. How do they come up with the rate per hour? Is costing. That is in the back end, but then it is costing. How do you guys come up with how much you have to charge for a customer when he comes and says, I have to, file an income tax return? You would say, okay, I will charge $1,000. How? Your partner would have already done that costing bit. He would have already calculated, okay, this is the amount of rent I am paying. These are the number of income tax returns I think I will, get divided by that. So per return, I have to recover this much of rent, this much of this much of this, and then articles, stipend. Those kind of things, he would have already done it, and that's how he would have come up with a number of 1,000 per return. And that is exactly what you do in costing. Just divide everything, find out the price. Divide everything, find out the cost. Add everything, find out the cost. And that is exactly what cost sheet is. When you come to costing, the most paramount thing, at least for the IPCC students, is cost sheet. You learn cost sheet well, you will handle any chapter well. Why? Cost sheet covers everything. First, it starts with material, that is one of your chapters, and then it goes on to labor, and then it goes on to overheads, and then it comes to your production overheads, indirect overheads, and then it goes on to your cost, complete cost, and then your inventory cost, and then your closing inventory, opening inventory, and then other things. So everything is included in the cost sheet. You understand that one piece of paper well, you understand the entire costing of IPCC. Yes, there are a few other chapters which are just a little bit addition to what is already in the cost sheet, but all of it boils down to the cost sheet. So one approach to study for costing in IPCC, cost sheet. Understand entire proper cost sheet. Without a doubt, without any, okay, this, does it go to material, does it go to overheads? That kind of doubt should not arise. Another thing is marginal costing, standard costing. This is the entire syllabus: marginal costing, standard costing, material, labor, overhead, joint cost, process cost, process cost. So what is process cost? Nothing but the same thing, right? Material, overhead, this, you just do it in a ledger format so that you get the right process cost. But then ultimately it boils down to the same thing. Joint cost also. You get a cost divided among the joint products. Simple? It's as simple as this. Think of it as a very simple subject. If you know math, you pass. If you know good math, you pass really well. Because I'll tell you, so what happens is there are normal math problems or normal costing problems, and then there are very complicated ones where like a lot of information is missing. From one information you have to come to another, you need to derive another information, from that you come up to another one, and then you get an answer. And this is the entire cycle of costing in some of the chapters. And this is where analytical skills come into picture. You know one formula here, you know one formula here. How do you connect these formulas is analyticals. How you connect the chapter, how you connect the formulas. In marginal costing, this is a huge thing. They would have just given sales, BEP and this. And then they'll ask you to calculate all sorts of ratios, all sorts of answers. But then it all starts with just that one formula that you have to use at the right time. That first formula you use will give you two other information. That two other informations you can substitute in another formula and get. But how do you do it? It's so easy to say. I can easily just say that, you just have to do this much. For you to be able to do this much, you need to have conceptual clarity. And that is where marginal costing is mostly based on concepts. It is very conceptual. If you understand BEP, if you understand sales, if you understand PV ratio, there is PV ratio in units, there is PV ratio in percentage. It's just simple math. It's simple math. It's not formulas. Don't understand formulas as formulas. Understand formulas as math and how you do it. Don't think of formulas. Keep the formulas for the day before the exam, or probably when you're studying like a week before the exam, right? Or for the second time. But the first time when you're doing it, try to derive the formula yourself. Why can't you guys do it? It's simple. If you know the concept, you will come up with the formula. You will not care about what the formula was there in your book. And when this happens, you go blank out in the exam. You will still derive the formula in the exam. You might lose 5 minutes to derive the formula, but you will attempt that question because you can get that formula right. And that happens only if you do it once or twice. You have to get that analytical ability of connecting the concepts to your analytical ability. You understand the concept and then you derive the formula yourself. No, I'm not saying derive the formula like really complicated formulas. No. Simple formulas, break-even point. How? It's simple. You just have to do x is equal to y and then find out x or y. It's as simple as that. Try to make things very simpler. Break it down into 2-3 different portions, 2-3 different steps. Don't try to get the formula in one shot, but then try to derive the formula yourself, at least in marginal costing. I can tell you that do it in standard costing as well. It quite gets complicated, I understand, because you first don't even know what that mix variance is, usage variance is. You don't know what it is itself. You just know, okay, material mix variance, material cost variance, material price variance, but you don't know what that variance is trying to say. And that exactly is what you learn in final, in standard costing. You try to analyze what that material mix or material price variance is trying to say. That is the analytical bit of the chapter. But then before that is pure math. And for that you will have to remember the formulas. In standard costing, mostly everybody tries to just remember the formulas. Try to understand the formulas. I'm not saying derive it here, it might take some time. And I don't think you would want to invest that much time to just derive the formulas. Just understand the formulas, because the moment you understand one formula, you understand the rest of the other formulas. And when you do that, you don't have to derive it anymore, because in the exam you will at least remember one formula. One formula among 20, easily among 20 you will remember one, and if you remember one, you can get any of the other formulas. It's just different name, just a bit different calculation, at least with fixed overheads and variable overheads and material and labor. But if you understand what the formula is trying to say, it's easy for you. So what is material price variance trying to say? Leaving everything else apart, just follow me, just listen. Leaving everything else apart, what is the impact of my profitability only due to price? So you're comparing equal quantities but different prices, and that is how you get material price variance. Leave everything else apart, leave the quantity apart. What is the price trying to say? How is the price affecting my profitability? This is just one example. How is the price trying to affect my profitability? And that is what you learn in material price variance. You do it through the quantity. Leave the price aside. What is the quantity has to do with my profitability? Am I using less quantity? My profitability goes up. Using more quantity, profitability comes down. That's all these two formulas are. And then you come to the next level of the formulas where mix and usage. Right? So all you have to just then think, okay, this quantity of the product is used by this product, like this material is being used by this product, this is used by this product in this ratio. If it was in this ratio, this would have been my profitability. If it is in a different ratio, this would have been my profitability. Correct? You find out these two, the difference is the variance. In actual sense, the difference is the variance. They don't want you to do entirely these kind of steps, and that's why they would have given you just one simple formula. But if you understand these two steps and you do not remember the formula, you will still get the answer right, because you will do it these two steps alag se, and then you will get the answer. But at least you get the answer. And that's where understanding what standard costing is trying to say, that is where the difference comes. You will have to understand every formula. You cannot mug up any formula. Because why would you want to rely on something that you would want to mug up on? Don't you have enough time? You have so much time to study. It takes 2 or 5 minutes extra to understand it, not beyond this. If you listen in class to your teacher, it does not take more than 5 minutes for you to understand it. Also, let me give you another tip. So it's a bit different from what everybody says. If you want to follow it, you can. Otherwise, please ignore. Everybody tries to say, you know what, whatever the teacher does on that morning, go in the evening and study the same, right? But then let me tell you, whatever teacher does in the morning, and if you have listened to it, in the evening, you're not using your analytical skills to get the formula or get the concept, you're using your memory to get the answer. When that happens, what are you testing? Your memory skills, not your understanding. That's why, listen, give it a gap. Give it a gap of 2-3 weeks or a month. But I'm not saying don't study that day, but study something other than what you learned in the morning. After 2-3 weeks, when you study, then you're not using your memory. You're actually using your brain to get the answer. And that might be the difference, because CA does not work on memory. It works on concepts. It works on understanding. And that happens only if you're not, exercising your memory skills, but exercising your analytical and conceptual skills. Your ability to grasp. And that happens not if you go home and study the same. I never used to study the same thing in the morning and in the evening for the same precise reason. Because I'm like, what is the point if I just go back home, read the same thing from my memory and say, okay, I am done, I have studied. What have I studied? What have I learned? The same thing that I learned in the morning, I'm just exercising memory. Doesn't make sense. I thought that. If you guys agree with this, you can follow it. Otherwise, please follow whatever you're comfortable with. I'm not trying to say you have to do it. Just think about it. If you think this makes sense, you can follow it. Just one small tip. Coming to, so I'll start with the IPCC material. I think I've almost gone through the entire syllabus with you guys. Material cost, employee cost, direct expenses, similar. I explained everything to you. Whatever questions you have, please note it down. You can ask me. Even if it is about a specific chapter, please do ask me. Don't hesitate. Overheads, activity-based costing. Activity-based costing is a slightly different concept than your material labor overheads. Precisely because it deals only more with just overheads, but the division of the cost or allocation of cost is not on your material or the product, but based on the activity you do. If you understand this very basic concept, there is nothing that will stop you from solving any question in activity-based costing. The overheads are divided based on activity that you do. Simple. Think of this way. All you have to do is this activity, this much overheads. That's it. Simple as that. Try to simplify everything in the book. Don't try to make it as complicated, because it is not complicated. Go to the root of it. Go to the root of what the chapter is trying to say. You will realize it has a very simple concept behind it. But just enlarge. That's it. Cost sheet. Most important thing. Understand cost sheet completely. Cost accounting systems. I'm not sure what it was because I was in the old syllabus. I think it's the new syllabus material. And then unit and batch costing. It's just multiplied by 100 or 1000 everywhere. Unit or batch costing is just multiplied by 100 or 1000 everywhere. Understood this? Cool? Simple? Job and contract costing. Same. It's just for a job. It's not for a product. Think of the product as a job or a job as a product. It's the same. Anything different? No. Chapter name different. That's it. Nothing else. Process and operation costing. Is this the process costing chapter? Yeah. So this again is the same thing. One slight complication I would say is normal loss, abnormal loss. This is where everybody goes wrong. Normal loss, abnormal gain. But again, one very simple concept I will try to tell you. If you understand, great. Normal loss, all your losses are just added on to the cost of the final product. Abnormal, not. And the rest is math. Simple. Because if you understand this, you know, okay, normal loss, it has to add on to the cost of the ultimate product. Abnormal loss cannot add on to the cost of the ultimate product, it has to go to PL. Ashte. Simple. And the rest, how you calculate is different. The concept is this. This is the concept. You should understand this. How you calculate, you will get it. Because you did not just clear your first, second, 12th, everything. You have actually aced it. So, you can calculate. Calculation is execution job. This understanding is the strategy job. Understand the difference. All you have to do is execute while you are calculating. Don't make the execution job your only job. Your job actually is strategy. Execution is a result of the strategy. So try to think of it that way. Understand what the process costing is trying to say or trying to do. Normal loss, abnormal loss, what is it trying to do? After that, all you have to do is calculate. If you understand that one statement that I said, is it hard to calculate now? Try to come up with these kind of one-liners for all complicated things. One-liners in the way you understand. One-liners in your own language. So that what happens is, if you do not know how to calculate in the exam, you will remember the one-liner and you will calculate it yourself, because you would have calculated yourself in the exam while preparing also. Joint product, byproduct, same. It's just ratios, fractions, division. Divide the cost. See, when I say it's simple, I am trying to say the chapter concept is simple. Inside that there are complications, like for example, should I use selling price, should I use that, should I use this? Those are something that you will have to learn, not understand. There is nothing to understand, should I use this or should I use that? It's learning, it's just you need to know about it. Nothing beyond that. But the concept is you have to allocate the cost. And then there is a different concept for byproduct and this. Simple. Why do they do that is what you need to understand. I am not teaching costing here, so I will not tell you why byproduct is, treated differently and joint product is treated differently. That you should understand it. If somebody does not teach you, if you actually know what is happening in the calculations, you will understand why. Because byproduct is a waste, so you don't care about it. Joint product, you care about it. Simple. It's as simple as this. Try to understand in the way you understand. I used to understand it like this. I used to use different words for waste, but yes, I used to understand it this way. Right? Make it simple like that. Service costing. No material. Everything is labor, almost. So how do you allocate that? It's simple, right? Instead of 3, you have to allocate 2. Job is getting simpler in service costing. But there are other calculation issues. These are not conceptual problems. It's not conceptually hard. It's calculation issues. And that is math, again, like I said. I think this is the chapter which has all this truck and hotels, right? This is the one. So it's on calculation. Where do you find an issue in this? Is calculation, not in the concept. You know that these many kilometers, these many hours, these many things. But how do you calculate, that is the issue. So that only comes by practice. That I cannot tell you, you can make it simpler. Calculations, execution cannot get simpler. Execution has to be the way execution works. But it can get easier, not simpler, only by practice. Only if you try to do probably 10 different calculations, you will know how to approach the 11th different calculation. But if you are only stuck with 2 different calculations, you cannot start, you don't know how to start with the 3rd different calculation. And that is the problem. The problem is we only do 2-3 questions only. 2-3 type of questions only. And the rest, we just keep doing 100 times the same 2-3 questions. That does not make sense. Why? Because 2-3 questions you know. You are applying the same thing, understanding the same thing, writing the same thing, using memory. Not using your analytical skills, not using your conceptual clarity. You are not trying to use your brain at all. You are using one small part of the brain of memory and nothing beyond. What makes more sense to me at least is solving probably 10 different type of questions so that I know how to approach the 11th question. And in the examination, it is not that you will get only the 10 different questions. You may get 11th. And there is no way you can prepare for it except understanding how to approach it. The moment you get the right approach, you go in the right path and you solve the problem. Even if it is a different question, different type of question. So try to understand and try to get a structure of how to approach the question. Rather than just solving it, it should be more based on the process of solving the question. What all have you understood by solving this one particular step that you did? That is the approach, and that will help you clear the 11th question, even if you have not experienced that kind of question. And that is what experience is. 10 questions is experience. 11th question is the reality. How do you use your experience for the reality is understanding the approach. Right? Standard costing. Mostly formulas, but like I said, you should try to probably understand what the formulas are trying to say. Leaving everything apart, those kind of things. Just understand however you like it, but understand it that way. Marginal costing. I think this is the most important one in your syllabus. Marginal costing is the most important one. Everything is conceptual. What formulas you learn is derivation of the concept. There's nothing beyond. What is BEP? What is PV ratio? Different names. What is break-even point? It is a point at which your profit equals fixed cost. Why? Fixed profit, operating profit minus fixed cost is your actual net profit. And what is break-even point? It is where your zero or zero profit. When does that happen? Operating profit is equal to fixed cost. That's all you have to do. And now it's all math now. So what do you do? BEP is equal to fixed cost divided by operating profit. What do you do? LHS comes down to RHS. What does happen? Division. Math. Again. Understanding this way. Simple, right? All you have to understand is that one line, not the formula. Now you can solve anything. You want to find out in terms of sales, all sorts of, you just have to do multiplication, division, percentage, and you're there. And you've done this for 12 years of your life. Multiplication, addition, division. All you have to do is bring that back and apply it in costing. It's as simple as this. Budget and budgetary control. Math. What else is there in this? Is there any other complication in budgetary control? I think in final you might have that step fixed cost, step variable cost, and then your other sorts of a bit more complication, but again it is math. You just have to find out what is the cost per student, cost per kilometer, or just what is the total fixed cost, total variable cost. Multiplication. Nothing beyond. No complication. It's math. So IPCC, done. You guys want to just keep 15 minutes entirely for questions, or you want to like solve it right now and then I move on? How do you want to do it? I'll keep 15 minutes at the end for questions all together instead of doing, okay. So I'll tell you one story about final, my story, and a lot of other story. What happened was we got the material, this material we got, new syllabus, this applicable new syllabus, but I'll still try to connect it with the old syllabus guys in terms of softer aspects of study. We got this book, we went through, we were like, there are absolutely no questions in this. We're like, how can costing be without numericals? You see the book there, you will hardly find 15-20 questions. We did not have a practice manual. So I was like, okay, this is very weird. So I thought I should use a different book. I went and got Paduka's book. The entire book is questions. Only questions. Like marginal costing has at least around 150 questions. And I'm not saying 150 questions, just find BEP and that is one question. No. You see that book, you will understand what kind of questions those are. Like in the 150 questions, at least 50 questions you need at least 10 minutes to solve. Like rough solving, not like proper solving. So imagine me, like this book says theory, that book says practical. What do I do? And this is the first paper I am writing. As in, this is the first, there is no precedence. I don't know how the paper is going to be. Great. I said I'll do both. I'll do practical. If I understand concepts, I don't need to solve numerical problems more because I know the concept good enough, and then I will do theory. There is so much theory in this. You will be like, this is a theory paper. You will literally think costing to be a theory paper. You will substitute it. And then comes the RTP. You see our RTP. Have you anybody just seen May 18 RTP? Costing? RTP, question paper, mock test paper. Okay, go home and see it. You will understand what I am trying to say. I see the RTP. There are probably 10 to 15 numbers. 10 to 15 numbers, not questions, numbers. Only from one chapter there is number, or one or two chapters. I am like, this is complete theory paper, and this is in the month of March. My exam is in May. Confused. What do I do? Here it's full practical, book says full theory, RTP says full theory. I was like, okay, I'll wait for mock test papers. Great, let's see how it goes. This was the only paper which everybody who's writing the new syllabus had a lot of issues with, because nobody knew what was happening, because everybody thought costing is just about solving the numbers, nothing to do with theory. But then the RTP was full theory, and then comes mock test papers. 2 mock test papers, full theory, full absolute theory. So the morning of the exam, I talked to my friend. I'm like, dude, what is the question paper going to be? He's like, Mehul Mehta, I think you guys met him in the morning. Yeah, so he's like, we'll see. Whatever comes, we have to write it. We have no choice. Great. We go to the paper. I get this paper, right? So the white color is for the old syllabus. This color was for us. I get this paper. I am flipping through. I only see questions, numbers, only numbers. I am like, what is happening? So I literally checked if it was the old syllabus paper that he has given me. That's when I realized, okay, there is no QT. This is my syllabus paper. First 1 hour, so this is a room of 45 people, only writing new syllabus and old syllabus. There were 5-6 people. First 1 hour, 15 people walk out. They just walk out. So by the 3rd hour, when we are giving the paper, out of 40 people, there are 12 people sitting and writing the exam. This was our costing paper. Trust me, believe it or not, many people did not even take calculators. They thought it's fine. 10 marks will come for calculation. Why should I worry about it? I will not solve any numerical question. They did not take calculators. There were a lot of people without calculators. And this was the confusion that happened. And that's exactly why in the morning when I was coming here, I saw the RTP of November 19. It was as good as the same RTP that I saw in May 18. It was the same. It was theory. But I don't know what is happening. Honestly, I cannot tell you, what the paper is going to be like, how mine was only numbers, or paper is going to be only theory. Like literally every one of our batchmates only prepared for the theoretical part. Practical they did not solve. They solved probably like 5 questions that is there in the book. If you see the book, marginal costing has 5 questions. 5 numerical questions only. Standard costing has 2. 1 or 2. Don't remember well, but yes. This is the kind of the book that we got. And then we get this kind of a paper. We don't know what is happening. I still don't know what's happening. So I cannot tell you only study for practical, only study for theory. Do both. Because practical will not take time if you understand concepts, solve all sorts of problems you can get, and this book is not enough for practical problems. It has probably 5 questions, 6 questions sort of a thing in every chapter. It's not enough. Not at all enough. So you'll have to rely on a different book for practical subject, the practical aspect of the subject. Coming to theory, it is full analysis. It is not the normal theory that you would see in probably like a law or audit. It is complete analysis. So basically it's like the theory is more on you solve this much of numericals, this much of theory. Even the paper looked that way. So there is one question where they are giving 8 marks for you to analyze what you have derived from the numericals. 8 marks. We are so used to saying, okay, product accepted, product too expensive, those kind of analysis. 2-liner. We are so used to just saying 2-liner, end of story. This was 8 marks. You cannot write 2 lines for it. What will you do? And that's when if you understand what the chapter is, you can write. You can say this is happening because of this is happening because of this, and because this is happening, this will happen. And that is what they will give you marks for. Because this is the entire analysis that you have to do. And that will be for like 8 to 10 marks. So I'll just jump right into the study material. I did not get the old syllabus study material, but I'm assuming old syllabus was one is marginal costing, One is standard costing, and then there are like other very smaller chapters, and then there is QT. QT I do not know, so I will not comment on it. Marginal costing, standard costing is anyway in this book also, so I will talk about it. And then the smaller chapters are much bigger in the new syllabus, so again that gets covered. So I think the old syllabus guys also are covered. Introduction to strategic cost management. Basics, what is costing? What do you do in costing? What is strategic cost management? If you guys have studied SM properly, strategic management, it makes it very easy for you to understand the theory of costing. It's almost similar. Like you're like, oh, benchmarking is there, oh, Six Sigma is here, oh, this. So these are the topics that is there in costing theory. So again, like I said, it's nothing but an extension of SM. So like I said, connect everything. SM is coming into costing. Could you have ever imagined? But this is the chapter, this is the book, this is what it is. But let me tell you, this is what is actually happening practically. CAs are no more hired only, like I've been into a lot of job interviews, I won't get hired to calculate, I'll get hired to analyze. And that's why CAs get paid like that. Because they analyze the strategic part, not the execution part. So this is a step in the right direction to say, let's get into the strategy mode, let's stop doing execution roles. And that is exactly why costing was changed so drastically, but I don't know why the paper was that way. Okay, so if the paper is very different from what the paper is today, in November 19 or whenever you write, apologies, I cannot predict it. Modern business environment, it just has supply chain management, cost of quality, it's all pure math. If you understand the question, it's mathematical. That's it. It's just that in cost of quality there will be like 4 different types of quality. Have you gone through the book? Everybody just looks blank. So should I even discuss the book or should I just move on? CA finance students. Discuss, but if you don't know what is in the book, what's the point in me discussing? Okay, do I just discuss the marginal costing, standard costing, because that at least was there in IPCC? And the rest is gone. Come on, give me an answer. Like, I've already taken almost 45 minutes now.
Yes.
Yes, what? Huh? Only those two. Okay. Our paper did really seem like a marginal costing paper, like mostly how the old syllabus was structured, marginal costing, standard costing. The other chapters vary, like 1 or 2 questions here and there. But let me tell you, the rest of the chapters which is there is all just marginal costing, different names, just a bit here and there different with a bit of formulas, a bit of conceptually, it's quite different, but calculation, execution per se, it's marginal costing. Don't worry about it, it's just marginal costing. If you know marginal costing, you can solve the rest of the things. There is a lot of theory associated with the marginal costing side. So the book is divided 2 types, One is performance evaluation, that is a standard costing bit. The other one is strategic cost management and decision making. They are calling it decision making. Why? Because you don't just stop at the answer, you go beyond it and recommend solutions, recommend what you have to do, recommend what the issues are and why the issues are coming. And that is why it is called decision making. So coming to decision making using CBP analysis, that is nothing but IPCC chapters. It is IPCC, okay? And then using relevant cost concept. This is one chapter everybody finds it quite tricky, only because you don't, so they'll give this much information, you have to just pick 5 out of the 50 information that they've given, and that is where the challenge lies. You don't know what is relevant, and the whole chapter is relevant costing. So you need to first figure out what is relevant in that chapter. That's all. Relevant cost concepts, relevant cost only. So to find that out, you will have to understand the question. You will have to understand what the solution they are looking at. And that is where the challenge again lies, because you don't know what the solution they are looking at. You know that you have to calculate and recommend, saying this or that, but then what type of recommendation are they looking at? what is it that they want us to do is something that you will find it very hard to understand in relevant cost. But practice, you will definitely be able to.
Makes a man perfect. Right?
Yeah. So I thought you were saying time up.
No, actually, yes, I'm asking because we were supposed to have a break.
Yeah. You guys want a break? Oh, I feel good about this. Okay, so relevant costing, right? So you need to understand what is relevant. For that, that only comes with practice. That only comes with different type of questions that you solve. That only comes with analysis. That I cannot teach you how to analyze. You have to learn it yourself. Decision making using activity-based costing. You do activity-based costing and then decide. How do you decide? Based on what the answer comes. Simple. And then there are other considerations like ethical and non-ethical considerations. This is a bit of theory, but this actually comes in the paper like a proper 4-mark talk, saying, okay, you know what? This is what it says. This is what your numericals say. But then there are softer aspects like ethical consideration, long-term vision, strategic issues. What will you do then? And those are the things that is covered there. And that is quite theory, but actually if you look at it, it's very practical. It's like audit, right? Audit, the book seems very theoretical, but if you look at it, it's so practical. Similar. It's quite similar that way. And then there is pricing strategies. It's just you need to find out price and give a recommendation and things that way. It's just calculation again. I don't see much of complication in that. In marginal costing, there are few concepts which are extra other than what you would have studied in your IPCC, but those are not hard. Those are simple enough. You attend classes or wherever you use the book, you will understand why they are doing what. It's pretty simple. So you don't have to worry about it. Performance evaluation is strategic management, SM, almost. Because it has a lot of this balance scorecard, BCG matrix, those kind of Porter's value chain, etc., etc. That is what is there in that, but it's theory. I don't know how the paper is going to be, so I cannot tell you, but you can manage it. It's nothing very hard. There is a new, very different concept called transfer pricing, which you would have probably taught in tax. That is there, but then this is not on the tax bit. It is more on how do you calculate the transfer price. You will understand what transfer price is once you go into the subject and start studying. But this is just about what is the transfer price. Simple. Strategic analysis of operating income. This is an extension of standard costing using different formulas. But the formula, if you look at it, the concept is same. The formula is just tweaked, nothing beyond that. So it is standard costing. Simple. And then there is budgetary control. Budgetary control here is more on the theoretical bit, not on a practical bit of calculating, but on how to come up with a budget, why this budget. There is 2-3 other different concepts, but theory. Standard costing, it's nothing much to do with what you calculate, not with the variances. You calculate the variance, that will be one part of it. But then you will also have to probably tell why the variances is there and how you can come up with a solution to it. That is what this chapter is trying to do. It is no more just variances. Variances you will calculate. They will give you probably simple variances only to calculate. But this is not on the cost bit, it's probably more on the profit bit. So in IPCC you would do more on the cost side of the variances like material, labor, overhead. Here it is more on sales and profit. So the variances you calculate on sales and profit, but more of analytical things and how to come up with solutions and understand why the variances are there. And that comes only with understanding what you are doing with the variance, how you are calculating the variance. Like for example, when I said about the price variance, you will probably think, okay, we did not negotiate well, probably we started only buying very few materials, so that's why he did not give me a wholesale discount, those kind of things. So this is what you need to do, and if you understand the point of the variance, you can come up with these things. Even in the exam hall, you can come up with it. And then there is this case study bit, which is nothing but like a wholesale addition of every single chapter that will be there. You will just have to come up with a huge case study, but that did not come in the question paper, so I'm not going to discuss much about it. Because it's just case study. You will have to understand the chapter, and then you have to write some 2-3 paragraphs about it. It was supposed to be 20 marker, but that did not come. So that is what the final new syllabus course is. Old syllabus, like I said, I think marginal costing and standard costing. Beyond this, I don't see too many other things, and relevant costing. Again, relevant costing is same in old and new, so there is not much change. I've covered it. Do you want me to discuss this question paper? How many of you writing in final new syllabus? Okay, then probably I'll discuss it offline if you guys want me to. It's fine. Okay, the last part of it, the softer aspects of how to study, how to do things, what should your mindset be, those kind of very softer aspects. I'll briefly cover it. We're running short of time.
Actually, yes, we have a break from now till 4.
They say they don't want it. Oh, okay. Okay, I'll finish it.
So you can take till 55 probably, and then last 5 minutes you can do.
Softer aspects. First is, guys, the last 15 days when you write the exam, irrespective of it is final or IPCC, is the most challenging time. That will be challenging. So the only thing I would say is try to be as calm as possible. Do not think of how the previous paper went. Do not try to discuss it with your friends. Go home directly or do anything, but don't try to over-engineer, over-analyze a lot of things about how the paper went, because I'll tell you, I know a ranker, he wrote group 1, FR was normal, SFM was normal, audit came, he thought it was a bouncer, law came, it was a beamer, hit right on our face, and then had it not been for group 2, he would not have come to write the other papers. Because it was group 2, he thought at least let me clear group 2, so he came, he wrote group 2, but he got a rank. So don't try to overanalyze. He overanalyzed his law and audit paper, and that's why he thought I would not even have come. So don't try to do all those kind of things. Just prepare for the next exam. Just keep looking forward, don't look behind. Mindset is really, really important. One other aspect is about making notes, at least for the final students, because IPCC, the syllabus is quite normal. You can manage it to do from the source material the day before. But then final material, like the final portions are so much, it's very, very hard to finish the entire syllabus once, the day before, in one day. And that is where you probably have to make your own summarized notes, so that you know how to write and what to write. When you are making notes, you will probably be writing how you would want to write the exam, how you want to answer in the exam. So when you make those notes, it makes it easier to do it the day before. And I will also tell you, do not skip any chapter. Do not try to say this chapter is not relevant, this chapter is not relevant. I know a person who skipped one chapter in law, 25 marks came out of it. So don't try to do all of this. Please study the entire book, entire syllabus. You have enough time. And the day before, it is more on a psychological bit, I will tell you, because you have to complete the entire syllabus the day before, irrespective of what it is. You have to. Because one is, you will know. Second is, you get the confidence saying, let whatever chapter questions come from, I will be able to answer. But if you have not done it, you are like, I did not do it. I had done this chapter 2-3 weeks ago. What if this question comes? Already you are low on confidence. If you are already low on confidence, you tend to blank out more. So don't give such opportunities. The day before, like I already mentioned, be very calm. Don't try to overthink. Don't try to do some extra things like some heroic stuff. Don't do. Just be very simple. Just think this is a 10th or 12th exam paper. Just go write and come. Don't think, oh, it's a CA paper. Oh, what if I don't clear? What if I clear? Don't think about what if I don't clear. Just go write the exam how it's supposed to be written and come back. Be as calm as possible. While studying, this is the last one I would want to say. While studying for the examination, don't be that, oh, I'm preparing for CA, so I have to do this. I have to sleep only 4 hours. I cannot sleep 8 hours. Oh my God, 4 hours waste. Don't think about that, please. 8 hours of sleep you guys think you require. How many hours of sleep? Not beyond 8 at least, I hope. So, if it's 8, I think it's fine. Please sleep. Please take rest. It's fine if you want to go watch a movie. Go watch a movie and come, but do not be in that zone of saying, I will not do anything in life, I will only study. You will get exhausted. But this zone is definitely required in the last 2 months. This kind of a zone is definitely required in the last 2 months, at least for the CA final students. Because I know IPCC students only study the last 2 months. So, probably the last month is what you require, but for final, trust me, take breaks, because you get a long break. You get like 5 to 6 months of break. You cannot just be studying the entire time. One more last tip: when you are studying, try to think, okay, I have 80 days. Just giving an example, I have 80 days, and then I have 800 marks to attempt. Per day, 10 marks. Simple, but then you cannot just study once. You have to do a cycle, another one. So per day, 20 marks. That's it. Try to plan it accordingly like this. Have a long-term plan, that is, by the end of this month I have to do this much. Have a weekly plan, saying by the end of this week I have to do this much. Have a daily plan. And try to do it. Like, probably today you did not study, but tomorrow you will study a little more. And then there are chapters where it takes 1 day to cover the 20 marks, and then there are chapters where like it just requires 2-3 hours to cover the 20 marks. It gets compensated, but have a plan. Have a plan in mind at least. Not in paper. If it's not in paper, it's fine. But then at least in the mind, understand, okay, these are the things I would want to do. These are the things that I would want to cover. Great? Done? Sleepy? No? Great. Any questions? I think you can take a break. If you guys have questions, I would have preferred it that you asked in an open forum. I'm not sure if we have enough time for it, unless... Okay, 2 minutes. Questions? No questions? Yeah, please.
In exam time, when we look to the question, sometimes we become blank.
See, blank, it happens because you would not have prepared properly. If you have prepared well, you will not blank out. Sometimes, yes, you blank out. Take 2 minutes off. Don't write, don't do anything. Don't look at the question paper. Just close your eyes, just calm down. Just calm down. And attempt the questions that you know so well. Even if your mind is blanked out, you can answer them. There will be 1 or 2 questions that way. Definitely. Attempt those. And that's when you start realizing, okay, you know what? I have attempted this. I already have 10 marks in my bag. I need 30 more to pass. That's when you slow down and then you start thinking, and then blankout does not happen. If blankout happens at the end of the exam, can't help it. If it is initially, usually it's initially, so calm down, take 2-3 minutes off, do the question that you're really comfortable with, very comfortable with. You get that confidence. The moment you get confidence, you stop blanking out. It's all about confidence, like I said. That's why you do the entire syllabus, do the entire chapter. Yeah.
These 3 seconds are practical use of this. The practical book, what you refer. Please read the title and author.
Paduka. It's Paduka's publication. So that book has a lot of questions, like really good questions. But then I think, so what happens is every chapter has around 20-25 questions, just save it. The last 5 questions are questions that probably would never come. But if you solve those questions, it gives you the confidence to say, I can solve any sort of complicated question, because those last 5 questions are that complicated. And it's usually clustered at the end. But don't try to say, I will not do those 5 questions, I will do it, I will only do 20 because it's anyway won't come. It's also on the practical, like the psychological end to say, if I have done that 5 questions, you'll be like, let any question come, I will do it. That kind of confidence builds up. So do the entire book. If you are going to use that book, please do the entire book. Don't skip. And while preparing, mark important questions so that the day before the exam, wherever you are going wrong, the questions that you are going wrong, like just mark them so that the day before the exam you can just go through them. If the same question comes, it's a bonus, right? You just want to take it and say 8 out of 8 in this question, enjoy money. So mark them so that you know where you are going wrong, and the day before the exam you just realize, okay, these are the places I was going wrong, so I need to be careful while solving these kind of questions. Anything else?
Thank you, sir, for efficiently putting forward all the essential points. I now request Prasad, Secretary of SICASA, to present CA Abhishek sir with a memento as a token of gratitude. As you are all aware, it's a break now for the next 4 minutes. You can go to the canopy, the coffee and tea is served there. Please come back, yes. Thank you.